This is K.M. Wyland, and you are listening to the 164th episode of the Wordplay Podcast. I marked a big red check mark beside the last of Dreamlander's content edits this week, which means the hard part is done. It's visiting proofreader Diana Cox this week, and then I'll have to knuckle back under and do my own proofing of the hard copy and digital versions. I also heard back from the good folks at Writer's Digest University this week. Everything's a go on the Outlining Your Novel workshop, and they're getting it ready to start running in early September. In the meantime, I'm having all kinds of fun outlining the first act of my historical fantasy Storming. This is one of the first stories I've started outlining without having a clear notion of the first major plot point at the 25% mark. So it's been fun to turn my creativity loose and brainstorm all the possibilities for this cataclysmic first turning point. I hope your creative horizon is looking just as endless this week. How to find your character's voice. The latest post in the video series on my blog touches on a few of the differences between authorial and character voices and offers suggestions for finding a unique sound for each of your POV characters. To watch it, visit my blog at wordplay-kmwyland, that's WEILAND.blogspot.com. New videos are posted every Wednesday. And now I hope you enjoyed this week's podcast. Most Common Mistakes Series, Part 17. Does your character lack purpose? Raise your hand if you love to be bored. What's this, you say? You don't like wandering around the house, puttering aimlessly at half a dozen jobs, flipping through TV channels and finding zero of interest, or poking around the net and smacking your head against the keyboard with the sheer futility of it all? If it's boring in real life, it's about 13 times more so in fiction. Scenes in which our characters wander about, puttering, flipping, and poking to no great effect, will have your readers smacking their heads, and probably wanting to smack yours. Boring scenes often occur when the main character has no obvious purpose. This can happen for a number of reasons. 1. The author didn't know what the scene would be about when he started writing it, so he just followed the character around until he found a purpose, and then forgot to go back and delete all the boring stuff that came previously. 2. The author knew what the character was trying to accomplish, but he either forgot to fill in the reader, or he decided it would all be more cleverly mysterious if the reader was just left in the dark. 3. The author forgot about giving the character a goal altogether, but because he enjoys his character's company no matter how pointless his activities, he figures the reader will too. The result of any of these purpose-sapping boredom causers will be treacle slow scenes that fail to move the plot forward, and probably don't do much to advance character either. Consider an example. Matt slept in until noon on Saturday morning. When he woke, he yawned and stretched. He had the whole day off and nothing planned. Sounded like just what the doctor ordered. He took his time getting dressed in his most comfy clothes. Then he made himself a leisurely breakfast of eggs Benedict. When that was done, he left the dishes in the sink and wandered to the yard. He should probably mow the grass, but he'd rather just enjoy his day. He flopped down on the hammock and watched the clouds meander by. Hear that snorkeling sound? That is your reader snoring. All this stuff we've watched Matt do is pointless. He gets out of bed, makes breakfast, enjoys his day off. Good for him, boring for us. But watch what happens when we inject a little purpose into Matt's life. Suddenly, even the mundane details of his day perk right up. Matt slept in until noon on Saturday morning. When he woke, he yawned and stretched. He had the whole day off, and he would need every minute to prepare for Viola's visit that evening. The future of their relationship hinged on how well their time together went. He threw on some clothes and grabbed a Pop-Tart on his way outside. First thing on his list was mowing his overgrown mess of a lawn. Okay, so granted, I've cheated a little here, but the very act of giving Matt a purpose is necessarily going to change the whole scene. Forget the relaxing, forget the hammock, let's get old Matt moving. Let's raise the stakes, give him a ticking clock, and put a few obstacles in his path. Maybe he's accidentally grabbed the strawberry Pop-Tart he's allergic to. The point is, The character must have a goal to move toward. If he doesn't know where he's going and why, his actions lose importance in the eyes of the reader. If you don't know where he's going and why, you need to figure it out, either by outlining the scene ahead of time or by cutting the meandering bits after you've written all the way through the scene the first time around. Thank you for listening to the Wordplay Podcast. To read a transcript of this episode, visit me on the web at wordplay-kmwyland, that's weiland.blogspot.com, and be sure to listen again next week.